Three, two, one. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Take Two Podcast, episode 275. My name is Brian. I'm your host here at Take Two Podcast, all the Hollywood news, TV, and movie reviews, and of course, my Take Two. Thank you guys for joining episode 275 straight weeks. We have given you a podcast all about Hollywood, fun stuff, and happy to do so. Thank you guys for listening, for subscribing, for telling all your friends all about this amazing show. We do have a good show for you guys today. We have Scream and the Tragedy of Macbeth. So a lot of dead people is what we'll be talking about a lot today. A lot of peoples with their heads and cuts and stabbings and all those sorts of fun things that we'd love to go to the movies and watch happen. Those will be our big reviews. We have a box office breakdown. Predictions I made last week came true, but we will break that down a little more in depth for the box office section. Our poll results, don't forget DC and Marvel later on. A lot of casting. A ton of casting today, and some good ones, some big names, some A-listers into some big projects. And then the SAG Awards, I'll run through those nominations real quick because, this is a award season-y type of show, things that I really like to chat about. And then also there's some surprises in there, some snubberoos that we're going to have to discuss a little bit later. Thank you guys again for subscribing and listening to Take Two Podcasts. I know you have a lot of other movie pods out there that you could listen to. And you know what? Do that. Listen to them because I'm sure they're all phenomenal shows as well. But I appreciate you guys listening to me as well. Out in your feeds right now, there was a bonus Scream episode that I just, I had a minute and I said, I'm just going to hit record and just wax poetic about Scream. And it might not be the best, most in-depth podcasting you may have ever listened to or movie breakdowns you've ever heard in your day. But if you want to hear somebody just gush over his favorite film franchise in the horror genre, listen to that. It is in your feeds right now. Screamcast is out there where I break down movies 1 through 4. And there's some surprises in there. My favorite killer, my favorite opening death scene, and where they rank. It's not just a 1, 2, 3, 4. And, I'm a 3 apologist, spoiler alert. So when you hear my thoughts on 3, you might be like, whoa, I thought a lot of people hated this movie. No, not a lot. And actually, it's funny I say that because this past week, obviously, everyone's been on social media talking about Screams or whatever, and you've seen other people with their rankings out there. And I really liked seeing a lot of love come part three's way. That was great because I thought I was the only apologist out there. And apparently there are more of us who really just enjoyed the fun of part 3. Listen to the episode. You'll hear why. Funny, before we get rocking into this, I have to give some goods and some bads. So this show, Take Two Podcast, changed back in October. It went down to just me hosting for a while. It's going to be this way for a little bit, and we'll see how things go. I think things are going great. And so you have the goods with the bads with podcasting. And one week, you're on top of the world, right? You feel like you're the best show out there and nobody can get enough of your show. And then the next week, you feel like nobody wants to listen to anything that you have to say. But that's the fun of it. And nothing's changing. The show's not going anywhere, I'll tell you that. But we had highs and lows just in the past couple of days. I checked the numbers for last week's episode 274. Since this show changed, it was the lowest downloaded show we've ever had. Maybe you guys didn't care about the Tender Bar or Sing 2 or my thoughts towards that or the Golden Globe winners, 3 big topics. Or maybe what I had to say on 273 turned so many folks away that they're not even hearing me say this right now. Lowest downloaded episode we've had. But then Saturday night, I get a rating and review. Haven't had a rating and review since the fall. Finally get one across the board. And folks, any rating and review that comes across, I am over the moon. I can't tell you how much they mean. Not only do they help the show grow, not only does it help other people enjoy Take Two Podcasts, but I mean, just on a personal level, it really means the world. So anyway, I'm just going to read it here real quick. One take is all you need is the headline to love this show. Brian really draws you in with his energy and effortless movie takes. He does a great job balancing giving the audience facts and then his own personal takes. That is very true. A lot of the show is just my personal take. It's not easy to host a pod on your own and keep the energy level. Super impressed and will definitely come back for more. So glad to discover this pod on Twitter. Also headed to go watch a ton of movies now after the recommendations. So you guys who are listeners of mine, you know that it is a very basic, I don't do a lot of notes. I like to just off the cuff, top of the head type thing. Here's how I feel about these movies with a little bit of, background with facts and et cetera. A review like that, I'm not joking, almost a tear to the eye. That really hit home, really meant a lot. So I appreciate it. Folks, 5-star ratings and reviews, they're always welcome. They're always accepted. They don't have to be as amazing as that because that's one of the most amazing that we've ever gotten here. Or feel free to top it. Up to you. I'd be totally down if anybody wants to top that. as well. But hey, we're on a roll. We have not got anything under a 5-star rating or review ever, and I appreciate that. And let's hopefully that streak continues. But let's get going with 275. Those of you who have stuck around, or any new listeners that we have, welcome. Welcome to Take Two Podcast. Let's not slow things down anymore or jib jab about ourselves, patting ourselves on the back. I'm so fat. I can't even read. Oh, if those of you tried to see me do that, that's because we're on YouTube also. You can follow on YouTube. Throw all the shows on there and all of our extra interviews, celebrity stuff that we have going, that's on YouTube. Don't forget, you can follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, across the board, all the socials. We're on there. Of course, Letterboxd as well, if you want to read just some quick snippets, written reviews as well. There's a lot of Take Two podcasts out there, and we are easy to find. And whenever I say we, I mean us. You, the listener, me, the talker. That's it. If you want me to listen to what you have to say, how about this? 667-365-8253. That's the hotline, baby. Text that. Leave a voicemail there. I won't answer if you call it, promise. But you can leave a voicemail, chit-chat a little bit about the movies, about awards, about news, stuff like that. Or shoot a text anytime. We have a few folks that love to text it all throughout the week, and I love it as well. Okay, enough jib-jabbing. 275. Let's rock and roll. Let's start things off with our box office. Last week, I said that Spider-Man will lose to Scream finally in its 5th week. It has had 4 straight number ones. But I said, you know what, folks? I'm feeling the Scream. I think it's going to beat it out. It needed about $30 million. Is exactly the number I said. Previous ones, not Part 4. Part 4 made no money for some weird reason because it's a lot of people love Part 4 as their favorite, let alone, the 2 slot of the Screams. But it made no cash. None whatsoever. The other ones made around the 30 to, opening range. 2 and 3 made 30 something. So it was like, can this Scream Part 5, we'll just call it for now, get that? Can it get $30 million? And I said, and that's exactly the number that I put out there, that it needed to beat Spider-Man No Way Home. And guess what? $30 million. In the 4-day total, because it opened up a little bit earlier, it's over 50 plus. But domestically, 30 million and some change, 3,600 theaters that it was in. It takes the 1 seed, dropping down into the 2 seed, Spider-Man No Way Home, $20 million. That's it. Only $20 million. Oh, darn. It's going to sit there. We'll talk going forward about where these movies are going to go going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if No Way Home jumps back into the number 1. We shall discuss in going forward. Either way, Spider-Man $2 million shy of 700 overall, domestically, of course. Scream, that's great money. That's phenomenal. I saw word of mouth. It's funny. I saw a lot of love going into it. And so I'm thinking, wow, this thing might actually make some cash going in. And a lot of critical responses. Now, the Rotten Tomatoes are both sitting around 80%. I think the critical score is like 78, but then the audience is like 85, which seemed low for all the love I was seeing on the social medias for that. But I thought it was going to make even more than 30 million. I was like, oh, wow, what if this steals like, 45, 50? Either way, just over $30 million for Scream. That's awesome. Spider-Man coming in second place. Sing 2, $7.9 million. That's not bad for a movie that you can now also do the VOD thing, the early rental thing, what have you. That's what I did going into last week. Maybe that's why we lost so many listeners, because I rented at home. The 355, $2.2 million in its second week of release. They would love to try and get like $10 million out of that. Maybe. Either way, The Kingsman, another $2 million. Belle, first week release. This is from that G Kids studio. This is an animated kind of retelling of Beauty and the Beast, different animation style. Actually, it looks not bad. I wouldn't mind if I had an extra 20 minutes to watch this thing. I joke with the 20. It's a full-length feature film. Well, only 1,300 theaters and $1.6 million. Not bad. Seventh place, American Underdog, $1.5 million. Puts it over $20 million. West Side Story, just under $1 million. Licorice Pizza, the same, 800,000. Matrix Resurrections comes in 10th place with 823,000. If you were paying attention to the studios that we just went through there, no Disney. They dropped out Encanto, which now I was trying for this movie to get that 100 mil. It's just not gonna now that you can watch it on Disney Plus. $93 million. It made 300,000, but that's your highest Disney product if we're not counting Spider-Man, of course, which we're not. It's a Sony studio. That drops down to 13th place. So that's going to kind of wrap up the Encanto for $100 million talk. It's just going to keep going down. It's just not going to get there, unfortunately. But Scream is your big winner. $30 million. Congrats to the folks over at Scream. The interesting aspect will be the majority of the word of mouth that I have seen going forward has been great. It's funny, my wife, when I came home and gave her my thoughts, spoiler alert, I enjoyed it. So she says that. She's like, I'm surprised you enjoyed it. I said, why? Because pretty much all that I've seen has been positive. And she said, because one of the movie people I'm friends with on my Facebook destroyed it. bashed it, went nuts. So I was like, show me this guy's Facebook. I want to know what you're talking about. And his points were valid, but he didn't close his point. He was like, oh, they did so great, but then just didn't execute. And that was it. That was his point of why he hated it. I was like, well, buddy, your comment didn't execute. Like, you just did the exact same thing that they did, according to you, for why you hated it. It was funny. But either way, I guess that's why maybe we didn't hit as strong as we did. I don't know if weather was a factor as well. Bart, longtime listener and commenter on all of our socials, he's down in Georgia. I know they got more snow than they're used to down in the state of Georgia, but he was able to brave the elements and go see it because he's a hardcore Scream fan. But I'm wondering if, the southeast section of the United States got a little snowed. Maybe this movie could have made even more cash. Maybe. So, curious going forward, the majority of the word of mouth that I've seen that I'm about to spread is positive. What money can that make next weekend? Can it make 20? 60%? Of its opening? That'd be great. I'm sure they would love to grab 20 plus million next weekend. I mean, it's possible. All right. So from Scream, we're in that mindset, and I wanted to know everybody's poll thoughts on who's the greatest Scream queen of all time, and thus grew our weekly poll. Weekly poll results, here you go. Every Thursday we drop a poll. It lasts all the way through Sunday. You can do it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. This week, everybody on Facebook took a nap because nobody commented at all. We got one Instagram commenter and then quite a few Twitters, actually, which was lovely. This is tough. We say this every week. I'll throw out the 4 options for Twitter, but sometimes if I know there's more option out there, I will either hashtag it or make the little picture that coincides with the poll to have more options, just to kind of let everyone know, hey, comment below, man, if you have anyone else that you want to talk about. And one gentleman did, but here's what we did. The greatest Scream queen, of all time. The 4 that I thought should be up there: Jamie Lee Curtis, Neve Campbell, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and then Langenkamp, of course. These are some of your OGs. These are some who had some longevity. And this was a tough call because it was like, well, that girl was great, but she was only in one film. Or that lady was not important, but she was in like 5 different scary movies, but she wasn't a lead in a single one of them. So those are the 4 that we went with. Jamie Lee is the godmother of Scream Queens. Of course, she comes in number 1. She pulls in 51% of the vote. Then Neve Campbell at 31%, Sarah Michelle Gellar at 11%, and then Langenkamp comes in at 7%. Again, I think that's before a lot of voters' time. Some folks are probably like, who is this lady? Oh, she was in, oh, got it. Okay. Jim Goforth comments on there. What about Danielle Harris? What about Catherine Isabel? Jim, I got to be honest. I responded to you, buddy. Comment below. This is exactly where comment below is. So I didn't leave them off. They just comment below, man. So we're giving 1 vote to each of those ladies. Jim, I'll allow it. I'll be honest, I had to look them up. Danielle Harris, I knew because she was in a couple of the Halloweens. I looked even more, like, why should we have her in here? She was in Creepshow. She was in Redwood Massacre. Valid. Very valid. We'll give Danielle a vote. And then Catherine Isabel, her I know nothing about, but she was in the Freddy vs. Jason. Didn't even realize that. She was in Insomnia and then Ginger Snaps. So a couple of horror entries there for her. Jim, there you go. You got some points there. So, excuse me, I almost glazed over that on Instagram. We had one commenter, and it was my good buddy Katz, and he's a funny guy, and he said Jenna Jameson, because she could do some screaming. Huh? Right? That is accurate. So she also got a vote as well. But Jamie Lee Curtis is your winner. If I could say her name, that would be swell, but I cannot. Of your greatest Scream Queen. Check every Thursday. Follow on socials, Instagram, Twitter, and then Facebook. Don't forget, we also have 2 Facebook pages. There's your regular standard Take 2 Podcast Facebook page, and then there is the Take 2 Universe. That is your group page. That page has a little bit more fun on it, a little more interactivity, things that you, the listener, can post on there as well. Feel free to post the topics or trailers or anything that you've seen can go to the Facebook group page. And then, of course, 667-365-8253. Shoot a text or a call. Who was your favorite Scream Queen of all time? Next poll comes out this Thursday. Be ready to vote on that guy. Okay, done with that stuff. Let's jump right into our reviews. First up is going to be Scream 22. Scream 22. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, the original called that Scream 96. That's not bad. I mean, it's giving it that Batman moniker, like Batman 89 gives that distinction for everyone that wants to. Do you guys think we lost listeners from me taking a swig of my beverage, like in between, like trying to just clear my palate, if you will? I can edit those out. If someone's out there like, I hate this show because I got to take a swig of his drink, I can edit them. That's a thing. Or if there's listeners out there like, I love the sound of gulping, Just gulp away, baby. And we can edit more in, maybe. That was weird. Scream 22. I've mentioned on the show 1,000 times how much I love the series, how much Scream 96 meant to me. That was such a huge moment in my cinematic life, in even enjoying horror genre in any capacity going into that. It made me give a better appreciation for horror films, for horror genre, and then for filmmaking. And people out there like me. You know, I was 15 when I saw it, and I was like, wait a second, people love movies as much as I do? Like, we can reference movies and stuff like that back and forth to each other. And from that point forward, not only my siblings and family members, but then just the majority of people who I'm actual legit friends with, we just chit-chat, you know, movie quotes and nonstop all day long to each other. So I was very hyped for this. When I very first heard that this was coming, I thought, I don't know. What are we doing here, Harry? But saw trailers, heard this was happening, that was happening. My interest got piqued, and then it screamed, you know, just absolute love of it. And I will be honest, going back and doing a rewatch of 1 through 4, I rewatched 1 and 2 during the Halloween season, you know, when everybody dives deep into their horror films during that season in October. But then this past week and a half, went back and rewatched 1 through 4 again. Of course, I wanted to do that Screamcast app just to get back in. And man, I can't tell you how hyped I was. How absolutely hyped for this film. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette are back. We are back in Woodsboro for this. We add Melissa Barrera. She was in The Heights earlier this year. Did a solid job there. Jenna Ortega of Disney TV show fame, amongst other things. We add Dylan Minette. And if I can tell you, folks, when I saw he was added to the cast, I immediately had my vote for whom I wanted to see die. Immediately. I'm sorry, man. I just did not like his character in the 13 Reasons Why. He's a great actor. The kid does a great job, and he owns the lanes that he's in. And phenomenal. This is nothing against him personally or his acting ability, but from 13 Reasons Why, I was like, oh, I would love to see that guy die because I like him. Jack Quaid's probably your biggest A-lister that we add to this cast on top of Neve and Courtney and Dave, of course. And then Marley Shelton, she reprises her role. Amongst a few other. Mikey Madison, I should probably mention her. Mason Gooding. So here's your cast, amongst others. Oh, Sonia Amar, she's barely in it, but it ain't enough. Oh, I'm sorry, Jasmine Savoy Brown. This lady, she's got a career coming up. All right, that's enough of just reading a cast to you guys. We're back in Woodsboro. There's another murder. Ghostface shows up. Great opening scene. Absolutely loved it. Folks, I will tell you right now, I'm not going to give any spoilers as to whom dies. I definitely won't be telling you who the killer is, and I will try and keep things kind of concise, if we will, so that I don't give too much away. I'm just going to give you my overall thoughts here and how much I loved or didn't love this movie. We do get Kevin Williamson back to a degree overseeing things, but Vanderbilt and Guy Busick, they rock out the screenplay on this one. Tyler Gillett and Matt Bettinelli open. They are from Radio Silence. That's their production studio. They're the guys who take over directing here because obviously Wes Craven has passed on. So back in Woodsboro, murder has happened. Why did we kill this girl? Now we find out this girl dies. This girl's sisters with Jenna Ortega in the beginning is sisters with Melissa Barrera. So Jenna Ortega calls Melissa, you got to come back. There's more stabbings happening here. So she comes back to Woodsboro. She now is going to be our new Sydney. She is our new lead to this point. Why is she connected? Can I tell you guys, once we learn of why Melissa Barrera's character Sam is connected, Sam Carpenter, by the way, little nod. When we find out why she's connected, and the backstory that we go to in depth, I loved every bit of it. I loved why she was connected to any of this, why she's connected to Sidney Prescott, why the killer is after her specifically, or is she the killer maybe specifically because of her connections. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I truly did. And the throwbacks that it gave to the original film, it was like, They were looking me in the eye and they were just like, Brian, we're making a Scream movie for you. Like, this is for you. We know how much you love that first movie. We're going to give you so much nostalgic crap that's going to just make you gush. And like, at times I was forgetting I was watching a horror movie. I was like, oh, that's right. And Ghostface has to come around the corner, because I was absolutely loving what we were getting from throwbacks and just mentions of the original films. The beauty of the Scream franchise is they make everything so meta. They talk about themselves within themselves, a movie within a movie, right? How many films were that realm? So this just next level. Okay, guys, we're basing everything off of the Stab films. Now we can figure out who the killer is, because the killer is obviously going to go down X, Y, and Z path. to then kill these people. We just got to figure out why they're choosing you, and we can figure it all out. And Dewey's back, and he's like, you should always keep your eye on this guy, or you should always keep your eye on this person, because it's usually that guy. And then they're like, it can be. It could be. I don't know. The beauty of this movie is it does keep you guessing. I would tell you this from the jump. I had a 85% certainty of whom I knew the killer was going to be. But this movie does a good enough job to throw you left, throw you right. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. So I had it guessed early on, but it was a tentative guess. I'll be honest. I'm not going to sit here and say, I knew who it was, because it wasn't. I had a solid guess that wound up being accurate to a degree, but this movie still did a great job of making me think, you know what? Maybe that's not it. Maybe that's not it. Well, maybe. Could it be that? No? Yes? Anyway, fully entrenched. I also loved with the meta-ness of this, where it makes fun of itself. Like, it has a whole section about making fun of the horror community who has now adopted something called elevated horror. That's not a thing. But a lot of folks out there are like, they want to act smarter than they actually are and say, well, these movies are elevated horror, and these movies... It's like us cinephiles who are like, well, these are Oscar contender films, well, these are just your regular run-of-the-mill films, right? It makes fun of itself for people like myself who act that way about certain movies, and we sit here and say that we're more smarter than we actually are when a movie is a movie sometimes, right? So I love that it makes fun of itself there with the whole elevated horror nonsense. Going forward, all of the things that it throws back in the original Scream franchise are fantastic. Number one for me, I did not think I would feel this strongly about it. I did not think almost a tear would be brought to my eye hearing Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Yet there it was. And it's in the middle of a murder. I'm sitting there tearing up with nostalgia while a person gets murdered. It's fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Thank you very much, Radio Silence, for bringing that song back, because it wasn't in part 4. It was in 1 through 3. Dropped out. Now they're bringing it back for this one. Maybe it wasn't in part 4 because they threw it over to Peaky Blinders and they couldn't be in 2 spots at one time. Either way, I was so happy that it came back. Without getting into spoilers, there's not a lot more here I can say. I thought the storyline was solid. I thought the reasons we had to bring characters back to Woodsboro was solid. I thought, the goriness, some of the kills. The one guy with the knife like through the neck, it was solid. There was a little added element of gore in here, like almost to the degree it was like, there's no way that Craven would have gotten away with this in '96. They already cut him back on the kills he could do there for the MPA, the NC-17 rating. So I'm wondering how much they towed the line there with some of their deaths. Excuse me, lost my thought. But a couple of moments I can give you some knocks. The killer, it felt like almost every death that they went for, the killer went in for the stab. And for you YouTube watchers, you'll be able to know. But they go in with the overhead stab, and then the person about to be stabbed puts their hands up, like catches their wrist, like stops the knife from going into them. I felt that happen with every single person. Like every single person, Ghostface is about to stab them. That guy catches their wrist. He's like, ugh, and then whether that person was stronger than Ghostface or not, kind of if they survived or not. As you know, most people don't survive. So I was like, wait a second, that's like the 5th person that was able to catch their wrist. You would think Ghostface would adjust at some point. Like, all right, they're catching my wrist. Maybe I should come in with like a side stab or something new, or like take a class on stabbing or something before they get into it. Because every single person, that might be my one knock on the film, where I was just like, I got to edit it. Sorry, everybody. I just realized I may have given away a spoiler there, and I didn't want to. So that just got edited out, the words that I was just saying. You're welcome for editing that out. Oops. Okay, we'll start from the top here. In the end, when we find out who Ghostface is and the motive behind the reasons for the killings, there we go. I said the sentence better so that I didn't give anything away. It was solid. I thought it was solid, and it spoke to everyone today. It spoke to all of us sitting here hosting a movie podcast. It really did, because that is exactly where we are, entrenched in social media, entrenched in podcasting, entrenched in just our daily conversations about all of this, about movies and TV shows that we love, hate, and everything in between. I thought it was great. I thought it was really smart. Am I looking forward to a part 6? Yes, I am. Where are we going with this? Which characters are we following going forward? Because are we going to have a new lead character? Did some OG characters pass on? Did any OG characters survive whom we're going to keep going forward? Maybe. Should we? Or should we just pass the torch completely? There is a sentence, multiple sentences in there about passing the torch. So should we pass that torch or should we not? I loved it, folks. It's a solid 4.8 out of 5. Like, I mean, I can barely knock anything off of it. I thought the jump scares were great. They got you a couple of times. There's the one sequence in there where the kid from 13 Reasons Why, you know, he opens up one door and the music builds. Well, shuts the door, he's not there. And then we open up a second door, music builds. Ghostface is not there. Then we open up a third door. It's like, all right, you guys are beating this dead horse, but I'm loving every second of it because you're just building and nope, and nope. And then eventually it gets you. I thought there were some solid moments where they got surprised from behind and what have you. I loved it, man. I absolutely love this film. I cannot wait to see it again. There was a rumor going in that they were going to release day and date, because they were worried about not making money with Omicron and all that kind of thing. And as much as I was against that, where I was like, oh, no, don't do that, leave it in the theaters, I'm glad they did. I had tickets in hand. That's why I was against it, mainly. But B, once I saw it, then I was like, I kind of wish it was on Paramount Plus right now. I'd be forcing the wife to watch this instead of 1883. Anywho, loved it. Absolutely loved the new Scream. It's fantastic, and I'm totally fine if they want to continue this franchise going forward. I'm in. You have me. Take my money now, please. And a big thank you to any of the OG characters throughout that may have not made it past this film, because I never realized how much of my life meant something through your characters. I really didn't. You know, you have these franchises where you just love characters so much, and if any of them did not survive, thanks. You're the best. All right, moving along, let's get to the Tragedy of Macbeth. The Tragedy of... I gave spoilers away in that review and had to edit some out. Apologies. Not really, because I edited them out, so you guys didn't know. But, hey, quick question. And maybe I'll put this out there on the socials for people to legit vote on. What is Courtney Cox more recognized for now? Friends? Scream. Friends? Scream. Ace Ventura. Friends? Scream. I'm curious with the younger crowd if Friends is such a still overwhelming vote. I'm wondering, maybe because we haven't had a Scream movie in 10 years, it'll still stick with Friends. Friends was on Netflix and etc. I'm just a little curious because I wonder if there's a community out there that they recognize her for the 5 Scream movies, idiot, that she's done, as opposed to arguably one of the best TV shows of all time. If you look at the list, it's not my best, but many people's best. Okay, Tragedy of Macbeth. Here we go. Denzel Washington is in this, written and directed by Joel Coen, one half of the Coen brothers. He is the one that's married to Franny McD, or Frances McDermott. Obviously, this is based off of William Shakespeare's play, Macbeth. And they break it down a little differently, change it up a little bit. Now, the old rule with Shakespeare, folks, was you either had to do it or you don't. So if you're going to follow along and say Shakespeare, you have to say Shakespeare the entire way through. You can't make a film based on Macbeth where some of your dialogue is Shakespeare and some is not. Now, I don't know if everyone adheres to said rule anymore. I remember that in film classes back in the day, people would want to do Shakespeare, and then all film teachers would be like, okay, pick one, yay or nay. I think it was a hot topic when DiCaprio and them did Romeo and Juliet. Either way. So that's why it can be tricky to do Shakespeare, because if you're going to stay with Shakespeare, it's tougher on that younger audience. I mean, especially people who haven't read Shakespeare yet or just don't have that interest. To that note, the film's, I don't want to say it's tough to watch, but you have to be invested in. You do have to pay attention. And I will say an advantage for me, my wife is deaf, almost. She needs the words on the screen regardless of what we're watching. A lot of times it can be annoying. After 7 years of marriage, I've gotten somewhat used to it. She does allow me to turn the words off when we're watching sports because I don't need to see what the commentators are saying. But in this scenario, I was like, oh, okay. If I'm finding myself getting a little lost, at least the words are right down there. So it was helpful. So anyone who hasn't watched this yet and they're a little leery on, King Leary, on watching this because they don't want to have to sit here and listen to Shakespeare the entire time, maybe throw the captions on. And then you can read the words and it might be helpful to you. It definitely helped me out a little bit. I enjoy Shakespeare. I'm a big Shakespeare fan. I haven't read it in, college days, back in then. So my Shakespearean was a little rusty, as I guess everybody's is. I don't know. Either way, Coen does a great job of adapting this to the big screen. He does a very good job here of putting this, and he sticks with the Shakespeare, to belabor the point there. Sticks with it. He writes he writes the adapted from the book to the screen for here, and then winds up directing it. He's got Denzel, he's got Franny McD, he's got Stephen Root, Brendan Gleeson, what's his name, Corey Hawkins is fantastic in this. It's Macbeth, folks. It's, the witches. They predict that he's going to be the king of Scotland, but then going forward, he's going to have to kill some people. Finds out his wife is totally on board with that, even more so than he is, played by Franny McD. And then kind of has to cover up the murders. Then people find out about the murders. Then they try and overthrow him. If you haven't watched Macbeth, go watch this. This would be your introduction. If you have not read or watched any Macbeth, this would be a great introduction to it because it's fantastically done. All black and white, filmed phenomenally, shot phenomenally, using black and white, shadows, colors, lights, etc. Everything is fantastic in this. And I'm delaying the best part of this production, and that is the Academy Award nomination that will be coming Denzel Washington's way for his performance as Best Actor. Man, you know how you get actors, you're just used to them being good, right? You're just used to it. Anything they're in, whether it's a good movie, a bad movie, or in between, they're just good. You're like, oh, well, Denzel was fine. He was great. The movie sucked, but he's great. He's Denzel. He gives you that in this one where you're just like, you get that reminder sometimes of, oh, that is right. This person is phenomenal, is one of the best of all time. He is one of the ones that people bend over backwards to watch them perform. This made me, even more so than Fences, which he performed on stage, this made me want to see him perform this on stage. Like, I was like, shoot, I would love to see Denzel on stage just doing this production. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll go see if he's in Fences too. But, man, it was good. Like, there's multiple moments where he's just owning these lines and owning the dialogue and owning the action sequences that, when some people read Shakespeare, they can't then visualize the action sequences then also happening. And he, and along with Cohen's direction, fantastic job. I thought he was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is one of his best performances of all time. I adored it. The rewatchability here is a little bit tough, as I've stated before, because it is your deep Macbeth stuff with Shakespeare. But it flows smoothly. It's only an hour and 45 minutes. Some folks, when they do their Shakespeare, they try and drag that crap out for like 3 hours. It's like, no, they condense it down. They give you the plot, plain and simple. This is what's happening, X, Y, and Z, and Denzel absolutely owns it. Franny McD, same deal, absolutely owns it. And she gives you a couple of moments where it's like, holy goodness gracious. I will say, McD, she has nuances to her speech patterns, right? That maybe you don't recognize, but then when she gives them, you're like, oh yeah, that is a Frances McDormand. Like, there's little quivers with her lip that she does a couple of times. A little, her jaw slightly askew to the side where it's like, that's a Frances McDormand, line delivery right there. She's so great at it. So she has a few of them in here that just reminds you about her. It's great. I highly recommend. It's on Apple right now. Fantastic film. And if anyone is a little hesitant about jumping into a Shakespearean project, filmed in black and white, you know what you're going to be getting into. Slow burn to a slow burn if you want. I recommend going this route. This movie is well done. It will keep your pace the entire time. I recommend throwing the captions on, kind of help you guys out a little bit. Some of the fight scenes are great. Oh my God, Denzel kicks some butt. Like, he took the stabbing classes that Ghostface needed to take in Scream. If you circle back to my review from earlier. Because he destroys this one dude using that guy's own knife. Takes it right out of his holster and everything. Loved it. Thought it was really good. The movie is fine. It's good. It helps you out. But Denzel, I will see you at the Oscars, pal, because you're definitely getting a nomination out of this. Okay, there we go, folks. There are the reviews. Scream, highly rated. Absolutely loved it. It is a top 5 Scream movie for me for all time. And Tragedy of Macbeth. It is a top 5 Shakespearean film for me of all time. Shit, I'd put it at number 1 maybe. It was fantastic, actually. Mainly because of the performances of Franny McD and Denzel. Now, moving along, shall we? Thank you for joining on the reviews. One more time, guys, at Take Two Podcast for Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You're easy to find there. And then 667-365-8253 is the hotline. Leave a voicemail or shoot a text message anytime, day or night. I work nights, so I'm awake, guys. You can easily text or hit me up there. Let's move along from our reviews to the casting couch. The White Lotus Season 2 has been adding, and they've added Aubrey Plaza to their cast of characters coming for Season 2. I do enjoy the Aubrey. She's fantastic. Now, someone who was in White Lotus season 1, he will not be. In season 2 was Murray Bartlett. Murray Bartlett has been added to Immigrant. Immigrant is starring Kamal Nanjiani, and I wasn't totally sure. I was like, oh, I remember Nanjiani being added to something. What is this? Do a little research. This is the movie we talked about where Nanjiani is the true story of the guy that invented Chippendales. And we've now added Murray Bartlett to this cast, but now we have a title for this. It's just called Immigrant. So there you go. Going forward, we know exactly what that project's all about. Harold and the Purple Crayon, Lil Rel Howery, and Zach Levi have been added to that cast. More to come on that, I'm sure. That sounds like a lot of fun. Freelance, a little action comedy show. John Cena, that is, and Allison Brie are going to be your leads in that film. Daniel Radcliffe will be playing Weird Al Yankovic. Yep. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which is also the name of one of his skits, if I recall. Either way, this is going to be a biopic all about Weird Al, starring Daniel Radcliffe. I don't know why, but I'm in on that. That sounds like Radcliffe will do a good job there. Okay. Snow White, we have a new male lead. We don't know if it's going to be the Huntsman or the Prince. We don't think so. It's going to be a new character, but Andrew Burnap will be playing that character. This already has Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler, and so now we've added the male lead. Only Murders in the Building Season 2. We've gotten teases about Amy Schumer, Shirley MacLaine, and Nathan Lane will be returning. Rock and roll. The Patient, 10 episodes on FX, will be starring Steve Carell and Dom Hall Gleeson. Rock on for that. And then lastly, remember the movie Man Called Ove? This is a Swedish production back in 2015. It was up for foreign language film with the Oscars, won a buttload of awards. It was based off of a Swedish book that was a New York Times bestseller. I think it was on the New York Times bestseller list, like top 5 for like 77 straight, something crazy, 70 plus weeks in a row. Either way, this is now being adapted to American. Playtone Records are going to be one of your production companies. If you know what Playtone Records is, that is Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's production company. So guess who's going to star in this film? Oh, Tom Hanks. That's right, baby. Hanks is busy. I'm serious. I'm not sure if you guys noticed. Hanks is busy. He's got the Pinocchio thing. He's got another thing for Apple. He is their Apple correspondent. And then he's got this The Man Called Ove. So anyway, Hanks is still churning out. I remember there was like a 5-minute break there where we didn't get a lot of Hanks. I know some folks are out there like, is America's father retired? Is he done? Should we think that we're not getting any more Hanks ever? But no, he is rocking and rolling. Okay, done with the casting couch, done with the front half of the show here. Time for a little story time. We haven't done story time in a while, shall we? I'm not sure how everyone's schools do their pickups, especially with the COVID scenario. Ours does. You know, you're assigned a time slot to get in for drop-off, and you line up. Now, I have a pre-K and an 8th grader. Pre-K, they release in order of grade for the most part. Pre-K gets out first. So when we pull in, pre-K cars go up first. First 2 lines, they stack them, right? We get stacked parked for the most part. Now, no one leaves their vehicle, mind you. Get stacked into 2 rows. Lines 1 and 2 are the pre-Kers who also have a sibling. So we're going to pick up our pre-K kid. They're going to get in the car first, and we're going to wait for the sibling later on to happen. That's me. I'm in that line with the same cars every single day. 2 rows we get stacked into. Then from there, they filter in the rest of the cars waiting for just their pre-Kers who get to leave immediately. And then the rest of the kids for the rest of the school from kindergarten up through 8th grade, siblings or not, they all get released at the exact same time. So they'll just come out and get in their car. I got to get to school at 3 p.m. My son gets released about 3:20. But you got to get there and you got to get in line. If you're not there and in line, you're going to be kicked to the back, or they might even make you circle and come back around if you don't make it in time. So either way, I get there usually around 3 o'clock, so I'm right in line. Boom, my son can hop in at 3:20. Then we wait until 3:40 for when my daughter gets released out of 8th grade. She hops in and then we bounce. And they have it down to a science. It sounds crazy. They have it to a science so that way no kids get hit. No parents can have to get out of their car unless they're just helping a pre-care buckle up their seat. So that way no one's crossing and there's no community stuff. And it's a bit of a bummer. You don't get to chit-chat with other parents. But it's all for the COVID stuff. So the other day, I get there. I pull in at 3 o'clock. As I'm pulling into the school, my tummy rumbles. I'll be honest, I had some drinks the night before, and I was having a little bit of the bubble guts. A lot of it of the bubble guts. And this is one of those where, as it was hitting, I was thinking, I don't have time. This is when this hits, I'm done for. There's a Chick-fil-A across the street, along with a couple of like a CVS and whatnot, and that's kind of across this field across from the school. So as I'm pulling in, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't pull in. Maybe I should go to the Chick-fil-A and try and knock this out. Now I'm thinking in my head, but I got to get in line in time or I won't be in line for when he gets released. That would be bad. We would have to figure all that out. I'd have to circle around. I make the wrong decision. I decide I'm going to get in line. So I get in line. Now I'm stacked in. My car is blocked. Tummy's a little rumbly, but it's like, can I make it? Can I make it? Now at this point, folks, I'm there at 3 p.m. I'm pot committed, literally, to this parking spot until 3:50. Because by the time my daughter gets released, 3:40 comes, gets in the car, then the teachers make sure everyone's in their cars secure. Now we move the cones, blow the whistle, everyone can leave. So this is a 50-minute scenario I'm now looking at. Why I didn't circle, I have no idea. Either way, I'm now sitting there. I'm waiting. I'm hurting. I'm sweating. It's one of those where you're just like, what are you doing here, Harry? This is nuts. I'm drenched with sweat as it's coming down. Now, teacher comes out. 3 pre-K teachers come out with all the kids. They line them up on the little bottom row of the steps, getting them ready to get released at 3:20 to get in the car. So I think, here's what I could do. I could get out and I can ask her, can I use the men's room inside the building? Maybe she'll say yes, maybe she'll say no. Usually, anyone that gets out of their car in the scenario, they get yelled at, sir, get back in your car. Every time I'm like, well, I got to roll the dice because this is bad. This is bad. So 3:18, I now get out of the car. I go to the teacher, tap her on the shoulder. She's freaking out. Why are you out of your car? I was like, hey, I have an emergency for the men's room. Can I jump inside real quick inside the school? She was like, you can tell she's like, what do I do here? Yes, go. So I got to go up the stairs. I said, listen, just hang on to him because I'm picking up his sister. So we need to be here for until 3:40 regardless, right? So can you just sit and watch him? I'll get him on the way back out. Go inside. I go to open the door. It's locked. They lock the doors at all times. Great. Love that safetyness of our school. Jiggle. Nothing. 2 teachers down at the bottom. You got to push the button. Sorry. You guys are all standing here. I thought one of you would unlock it for me. That's okay. I hit the button. Nothing. 10 seconds goes by. Hit the button again. Nothing. One of the teachers. I wish I brought my keys. I'm so sorry. Now, mind you, I'm gurgling, okay? Sweating. These people are probably freaking out. I'm thinking they're freaking out. I'm bringing like some disease into the school. I just got to use the men's room. That's it. I've got 3 classes of pre-Kers and 5 teachers now just watching me jiggle a handle and ring a bell. Hit the button a 3rd time. Some voice from inside, come on in. I was like, who is that? I don't know that voice. Either way, guy buzzes me in. I walk in. I take her right to the office. There's the guy. Younger guy, actually didn't match his voice at all. And he had no clue what I was about to ask. I'm like, sir, can I just use your men's room? I'm figuring he's going to kick me around the corner to the other men's room that the kids use. False. He says, come on down the faculty hallway and use the one that the faculty use. I was like, okay. I'm about to blow up the faculty bathroom. Great. Awesome. Turn the corner. As soon as I turn the corner, a teacher whom I've known since the 2nd grade, 6 years since my daughter's 2nd grade, she's now the assistant principal of school. She comes around the corner. Hey, Mr. Stever, how you doing? I was like, mother effer, I didn't want anyone to know I'm in here. Now the entire world knows that I'm now back here. So I'm not going to stop and chit-chat and say, actually, I'm doing pretty crappy right now. I'm just like, hey, how are you? Bye. Blow by her. Go down the hallway, around the corner. There's 3 bathrooms, individual bathrooms, not like one with stalls. It's just 3 individual bathrooms. I go in the one door. I sit down. Again, drenched with sweat. Now I'm freaking out because I'm thinking that everyone's going to be thinking I just brought COVID into the school or some crap like that, right? No, I brought crap into the school, literally. The second I sit down, I hear knocking. Someone's trying to jiggle my handle and get into my bathroom. I'm like, you're kidding me right now. So I do the whole, what do you say in that scenario? I'm like, I'm in here. I can hear them now go next door. So now I hear that person goes into the one next to me in that bathroom. But the walls are thin or something because I hear everything that person does, which means she's now hearing everything that I do. How do I know it's a she? When she wraps up, she goes outside. There's the teacher again. The assistant principal is like, okay, Mrs. Blah, blah, blah. Have a great day, which means she stood outside of my door the entire time. Everyone can now hear what's happening in my commode. I mean, we're talking about Dumb and Dumber level, like, happening into the commode, okay? I'm furious. I can't believe it's happening. Now I give myself a time limit. I got to be out by 3:30 because then I can get my son into the car and then get my daughter as she gets released at 3:40. She'll never know the difference. All is well. If I'm past 3:45, 3:50, A, she'll freak out because no one's at the car. B, I'm now stopping all the other cars from leaving. My car is just planted there. Cut it off at 3:35. Go down. As I walk outside, my son's there. There's a bunch of kids out there. Most of the pre-K kids are in their car. But then he looks up. Teacher's like, is this your dad? And he goes, yep, there's my dad. All done, Dad? Thanks, buddy. Thanks for pointing that out there for everyone. Yes, I am, sir. Get into the car finally. And then we look up, jump in. Just as my daughter comes, she gets in the car. She's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, nothing, man. Don't even worry about it. Don't even sweat. She's like, why are you all sweaty? We're good to go. It's just time to go home, honey. That's it. All right. That's story time. Let's move on to the Hollywood news. Should I have kept that story in? Probably not. That's a long one. I don't know. The funniest darn things happen to me. Something else that's going to happen is that the morning show has been renewed for season 3. So I know that I have not yet watched an episode of the show. I know it is well loved. It wins a ton of awards, and I would love to jump on board. Maybe I should, man. Maybe I'll just jump on that. I got nothing else I'm binging right now. I'm going to jump on the morning show. I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit. I'm going to get a Bowflex. Oh, what movie is that from? I'm gonna commit. It's gonna get a Bowflex. Anybody pull that one? Trivia time. Season 3 morning show is happening. Also is happening. Tim Allen is going to reprise his role as Scott Calvin, the Santa Claus, for a Disney Plus series. Now, something that's been weird about Tim Allen the last couple of years on social media, he'll put pictures of himself turning into Santa, pictures of him. And it's like, all right, I get it. You loved playing that role. I don't know. A lot of actors, once they play a role, they're just kind of done with it, you know? But he owns it. He played Santa, and he'll do a whole shtick, and he's back, baby. Disney must have been like, well, if you're going to be tweeting about it, we might as well make some money off it. Final Destination is being rebooted-ish, rehashed a bit. They're not clear on what we're doing with the series, but we do know that John Watts, phenomenal director, is taking over moving forward. I believe this will be Final Destination 6. Ooh, somebody quote me on that, or don't quote me on that. I believe it's Final Destination 6. Either way, who here, raise your hand, show of hands, anytime they see a tractor trailer ahead of them with a bunch of logs on it, immediately changes lanes and tries to speed by them. Guilty as charged. Get that out of my way. Apparently, Alec Trebek chose Laura Coates to be his replacement and told the producers. Then he passes away. Now she steps in and says, hey, Alec named me his successor. And the producer said, nah, we're going to do a whole search thing and go through a whole bunch of people. And we're good. We're not going to have you. That's ridiculous. I mean, could you imagine if she just took over, like had that happen? Then we wouldn't have had the nonsense with the guy that wound up getting fired. We wouldn't have the other people going in and out. I don't know. I don't know her from nothing. I know she has a Sirius XM show and it's on CNN. I don't know if there's a political thing in there, whatever. Either way, Trebek chose her as a successor. That should have been done deal. That movie Tickets to Paradise, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, is currently filming. Well, it's on halt right now due to COVID issues, so might be a delay in release date on that. Keep you guys posted. Something that is not being released into theaters is Turning Red. This is the third straight Pixar movie that is, instead of being in theaters, going straight to Disney+. March 11th, you'll be able to watch Turning Red. I saw the trailer. It looks cute. It looks like a cute Pixar film. I know a lot of Pixar folks are salty about this because now this is yet another Pixar project not in theaters. Either way, I didn't see why, but they're going straight to Disney+. Not going to make any money. All right, SAG Nom time, everybody. I will go through these quickly as I can. Story time took up more time than I thought it would. But SAG nominations, just going to blow through this and give you guys like ones or two things that I thought were overlooked, things that I thought were interesting. And to be honest, I've always put a little more stock into the SAG Noms. Maybe not anymore. Let's see what we got here. All right, here's the complete list. Outstanding Cast: Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, House of Gucci, King Richard. Interesting. I enjoy, some of those nominations. I'm glad Belfast, I'm glad Coda got that nom. Gucci, that's just crazy to me. Whatever. Don't Look Up. Makes sense. Bunch of A-listers. Okay. Actor in a leading role: Javier Bardem for Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, Andrew Garfield, Will Smith, Denzel Washington. We've heard 4 of those names a lot. Bardem for Ricardos? Are you nuts? No disrespect. I mean, he does. They call me Cuban Pete. I'm the king of the rumba beats. Chick chicka boom chick. He does fine, but he was the one aspect of that film, if you remember my review from a couple of weeks ago, that it was just tough. He didn't do a bad job acting, but Ricky Ricardo, tiny dude, Javier Bardem, big stocky guy. I wasn't buying it. Either way, he gets that nom. When that came out, I was like, ooh, should we not think about the SAGs anymore? Now, granted, SAG Noms always throw out a wacky one. They always do. There's always something out there where you're like, what left field did you get that nom for? All right, neato. But I felt they had actually a couple here. Actress in leading role: Jessica Chastain, Tammy Faye, Coleman for Lost Daughter, Lady Gaga for Gucci, Jennifer Hudson for Respect, and Kidman for being the Ricardos. Okay, intriguing there. Supporting actor: Ben Affleck, Tender Bar. I said this last week. You guys need to watch this movie. Not for nothing, because Affleck's fantastic. Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza. Troy Kotsur for Coda. Woo! Jared Leto for House of Gucci. Are we serious here, Harry? Come on. And then Cody Smith McPhee, Power of the Dog, probably the front runner right there. Actress in supporting: Katrina Balfe for Belfast, Kate Blanchett for Nightmare Alley, Ariana DeBose, West Side Story, Kirsten Dunst, Power of the Dog, Ruth Negga for Passing. All right. Stunt Ensemble, Black Widow, Dune, Matrix, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi. Ensemble in a Drama Series, Handmaid's Tale, Morning Show, hey, Season 3 is coming, Squid Game, Succession, and Yellowstone. Boom, baby. Boom. Because Season 3 of Yellowstone was phenomenal. Season 4, but Season 3, especially that final episode. All right, actor in a drama, Brian Cox, Succession, Billy Crudup, Morning Show, Kieran Culkin, Succession, Lee Jong-jae for Squid Game, and then Jeremy Strong, Succession. So you have 3 Successions, a Morning Show, and a Squid Game. Are they going to all take away from each other, or can we just get Fuller who will wet the bed to win that one? Come on, Kieran Culkin. Get it, baby. Actress in a drama, Aniston for Morning Show, Ho Young-jung for Squid Game, Elizabeth Moss for Handmaid's Tale, Sarah Snook for Succession, and Reese Witherspoon Morning Show. Folks, I'm telling you, that last season of Succession, as you can see, fantastic. Comedy ensemble, The Great, Hacks, Comiskey Method, Only Murders, Ted Lasso. You guys know my Ted Lasso love. Only Murders, though, solid. Look out for Hacks in that one to actually win there, as much as I want Lasso to. Actor in a comedy, Douglas for Comiskey Method, Goldstein for Ted Lasso, Sudeikis for Ted Lasso, Steve Martin and Martin Short both for Only Murders in the Building. So you have 4 guys out of 2 shows. This is where Michael Douglas says, thank you, I'll just take this award because you guys just cancel each other's votes out probably. Actress in a comedy, Elle Fanning for The Great, Sandra Oh for The Chair, Jean Smart, Hacks, Judo, Temple Lasso, Hannah Waddingham, Ted Lasso. Woohoo! Actor, TV Movie Limited, Murray Bartlett, White Lotus, hello. Oscar Isaac, Scenes from a Marriage, Michael Keaton, Dope Sick, McGregor for Halston, and Evan Peters, wowzers, for Mayor of Easttown. Good on him. Actress in a TV Movie Limited, Coolidge for White Lotus, Arrivo for Genius Aretha, out of nowhere. That's kind of hasn't been talked about a lot. Margaret Qualley for Maid, and then Jean Smart, both Kate Winslet, Mayor of Easttown. Makes sense. And then lastly, Stunt Ensemble in the TV series, Cobra Kai, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, Mayor of Easttown, and then Squid Game. I'm guessing Squid Game's going to take that. I mean, isn't that whole thing about doing stunts and whatnot? Or Cobra Kai? The things that stand out to me is Bardem gets the actor nod. We don't get a Holland in there. There's a couple others. You know, I was hoping Tom Holland would steal something along the way to kind of boost him a little bit to maybe stealing a Best Actor nom. I think for the Oscars, if Bardem gets it over Tom Holland or a couple of other guys, that's I don't like that whatsoever. But no Rachel Ziegler and no Kristen Stewart for Spencer, Rachel Ziegler for West Side Story. Those are like 101A frontrunners for Best Actress in the Oscars, and neither of them even get the SAG nom. Crazy, I tell you, folks. Okay, done with the SAG noms, done with the Hollywood news. Now it's time for some DC discussion. Not a lot in the superhero world this past week, but DC, we got our first look at Batgirl in her bat suit. Looks awesome. She looks great. They went with the whole head-to-toe pantsuit deal or whatever. She's doing pants. I think Supergirl TV show kind of changed that going forward. We're not going to have that short skirt anymore. Never made sense to me anyway. Why would a superhero wear a short skirt, especially like Supergirl who flies? Like, does she always just wear bloomers underneath? Because every time she took off, everyone's just like, whoa, so, you know, wearing a thong today. Okay. Like, that never made sense, but whatever. Either way, pants for her. She looks fantastic. We also saw set pictures, and in one of the set photos, it has a painting of Batman and Robin. What? It's an old style painting where they're just, it's like a mural. Like Batman and Robin, they used to say the day back in the day. This is obviously older, and it's Keaton's Batman. And we already have talked about how Keaton is going to dub Batgirl the next Batman in that film. That's a big rumor that's already come out. But Robin? And now Robin's older, so most people know Robin turns into Nightwing. So are we going to get Nightwing in this movie? Or are we just getting that reference? Why would they let that set photo out if that was like the only Easter egg we were going to get from it, and then we don't then get more? You know what I mean? The other part was the Batman has been rated PG-13. And for some weird reason, people are mad at this. I don't get it. I don't understand the obsession with rating things R. Folks, movie studios try and make money, and rating something R is less money because kids can then not see it. Okay, let's not forget you are supposed to be 17 to go to see a rated R movie. That's the rule, or you have to go with a parent. So more parents are not going to bring their children to see this film if it's rated R. A. B, why does it have to be rated R? Just so I can add in a couple of potty words and some more gore and violence? No, we're good to go. The amount of violence that's going to give you is going to be plenty for a comic book movie. Okay, this is something that's supposed to be entertained as you were kids. You read comics. Now you're watching this. PG-13 we're good to go. That's the perfect speed. If they rated it R, they were going to lose a ton of cash and a ton of viewers. For why? Just so you can add 2 F words in there, S's and D words? Like, that makes 0 sense. So folks that are mad at this, I don't think you guys you're being very selfish in your, I just need things to be rated R. Rated R does not equal better, especially if you're talking about just adding in profanity. That's dumb. Usually when you add in profanity, it dilutes a script and makes it even less. So PG-13, I think, is perfect. I'm glad that they're rating this thing PG-13. All right, done with DC discussion. On to the Marvel Minute. 667-365-8253. Welcome to text or leave a voicemail on said hotline. We got the trailer for Moon Knight. Just dropped yesterday. This looks dark. Very mentally, the character here, he's mentally unstable. He slips in and out of, one world to the next. One time he's the Moon Knight, but he can't remember what happens. I'll be honest, I did not read a lot of Moon Knight. I'm familiar with the character, but I've never purchased a Moon Knight comic in my life. So a lot of this is going to be new and fresh to me. I'm going to have to do a little research going into it, or maybe not. Maybe just let them tell us a tale. Either way, this definitely looks dark, and March 30th, we're getting the first step on Disney+. I mean, Oscar Isaac's in it, man. I'm sold. You had me at that. Gunn is doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and he was saying that for his true vision for what he wanted for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he needed a $500 million budget. Shockingly, the studio said no thank you on that, but he said what he really, really wanted to do, he needed $500 million for. Did say that Part 3 is going to be very different from what anyone was expecting, so be ready for a wild ride. That's cool. Also a wild ride, someone who rides a unicorn for a living, is Valkyrie. Tessa Thompson said, wait till you see some new powers that Valkyrie gets in Thor, Love, and Thunder. Okay. Sounds awesome. Bring it on, Tessa. All right, that's it for Marvel Minute. That's it for 275. It's time to go forward and wrap up this show. In theaters this week, Operation Fortune should be released full. I did see some things where it might still be just limited this weekend, so check your local listings if you will. But Operation Fortune, this is that Guy Ritchie film with Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, Hugh Grant, Josh Hartnett. Looks like another wild ride. I don't know. I will be checking my listings to see if it's available. Maybe we can get to it. Also, a Pierce Brosnan and William Hurt movie called The King's Daughter. It comes out. He's trying to find eternal life and kidnaps a mermaid who can grant him eternal. I kind of want to see it. On Netflix this week, you've got, well, first of all, Afterlife Season 3 dropped last week. I forgot to mention that. I absolutely adored Afterlife Seasons 1 and 2. I thought they were so heartfelt and fantastic, so I can't wait to watch that. So by next week, I will have watched Season 3 of Afterlife. If you haven't watched any of that, Ricky Gervais' show, it's great. You got to be in the mood for it. Bring some tissues. It's a lot of mental grief, counseling type stuff, but it's good. It's really good. It's a side of Ricky Gervais that you might not be ready for in the positive way. But that's out now, so that'll be done by next week, episode 276. Ozark Season 4 drops, baby. Kaboom! That's coming out this week as well. Be ready for me to have a full review of both of those shows by next week for episode 276. And then if you want on Netflix, The Royal Treatment is dropping with a Miss Laura Morano from Austin and Ally fame. All right? I know Craigie will be watching that one with me probably. So next week, a bit of a hodgepodge probably for what shows that we were able to catch up on and films that we were able to get to. Maybe if I get a minute away to get to the theater, I could finally grab that Nightmare Alley or a couple of things I've been waiting to catch up on. Either way, thank you everybody for listening to Take Two Podcast. Once again, a 5-star rating and review truly does mean the world to me, and it helps the show. It helps other people listen. Hit us up on all of the socials at Take Two Podcast for Twitter, take2podcast@gmail.com, email if that's your device, and Facebook, Instagram, follow the show, YouTube, Letterboxd, you name it, I'm there. Take Two Podcast is here for all of your Hollywood news, TV and movie reviews, and my Take Two. Episode 275. Have a great night, everybody.